This is the smash hit Joel Bateman, Australia's premier deathmatch wrestler, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Wednesday. I am, of course, your host, that guy, James J., alongside the leader of Squash Squad, Kaliko Yachts.
Remember, Kings, if she can push a stroller, she can push a lawnmower. Happy Father's Day.
And the American Scooter Dust.
Lick my balls! Yeah!
Insert witty remark here.
And of course, this episode is sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WRESTLINGWITHE for 10% off your next purchase. And it is a great day for wrestling. Last week on the show, we interviewed deathmatch wrestler and deathmatch promoter Joel Bateman, which was just an incredible chat, I would say.
Yes, I loved him as Pepper in Dodgeball. Oh wait, wrong Bateman.
One day you'll get it right.
One day I'll get it right. Damn Alzheimer's. Who am I again? Joel Bateman. Great interview. Great person as well. If you don't listen to this interview, you'll regret it, and then I'll have to use my special set of skills that make me particularly dangerous to people that don't listen to Wrestling with Entertainment.
And, it don't get better than that. Next week on the show, this upcoming Wednesday, we got Owen Brody, and another really incredible chat. This was definitely, I want to say another one you gotta listen to. Just
listen to everything. You can't go wrong.
Exactly. Just put the playlist on. Listen to all the interviews. Yep. You will not be disappointed with Owen Brody.
We're like a Vegas buffet that you pay more than $5 for. You can't go wrong with whatever you choose.
Oh, absolutely. The week after that, we got Robin Renegade on, and the week after that, Janai Kai. And now that we're done putting ourselves over, it's time to get into the news. Maybe the main thing this week was AEW is actually in the red financially, because they want to make a video game. Is this a smart move by AEW to put money into something they really don't need to do right now? Scooter.
They've been, hinting at a video game for quite some time. And they've wanted Ukes in on it, and for those who have been living under a rock, Ukes is the developer of first the WCW NWO games for the N64, and then WWE games for N64, and everything up until basically roughly 2000. When did
2006?
Ukes stop? 2006, and Digital Concepts took over. But they've been wanting to do this for quite some time. I mean, why else would they put their name on a glorified fake slot machine app?
Very true.
I mean, I know Aubrey Edwards, I believe, is at the head of the project.
Didn't realize she knew how to make video games.
So, you know, I think it's something worth doing. I mean, while they have, while they have it, it depends on really the final product that's delivered. Will it be different enough than what we're used to warrant a following?
What about you, Kaliko? What are your thoughts on the AEW video games?
Difference between short money and long money. that's basically, honestly, the truth, the difference. Because, I mean, WWE had years in it, granted, ahead of time, but they also have stockholder money to put into that. So AEW's putting its own money into it, and they're trying to swing the fence. Now, I get what they're wanting to do, but the problem is now when this game is finished, is if the game gets finished, is price point. Because they have to make up for that lost money somewhere. And I feel like it's going to be the users who's going to be stuck with it.
I feel more along the lines of probably them looking into the battle pass price method, where instead of buying the game outright, the game initially is free, but if you want really all the core features, it's $9.99 a month.
I mean, that could work, but
I mean, no one's ever tried it with a wrestling game. The big thing with wrestling games is the issue of microtransactions.
Yeah.
And if they were to use a membership model where you could play the game and earn stuff, essentially like Fortnite, and where it isn't pay to win, but you could still earn stuff.
The only issue with that is then that game would have to be a continuous running for seasons rather than a yearly edition. Like they can't go the Madden NBA 2K level. You see what I'm saying? Like
Well, that's the other thing. That's what I was going towards, is that this would not be a yearly game. It would be a continuously updated,
game. Yeah,
there'd be season.
That could work. I mean,
you could, and it could run events that tie into actual, in-game tournaments where wins and losses matter.
Just like the show.
That could work, but the only issue is they're already in the red just trying to develop the damn thing. So they're going to have to go into more money just to upkeep and maintain and keep pushing that. You see what I'm saying?
Now this is the big question. I mean, however they decide to do it, and it bombs, what does that leave AEW? If the games are in the discount $5 band?
It means it failed. Because if you're usually you want minimum the video game to transfer with what the audience is watching, right?
Right.
So in WWE for a while, they had that until they did like the 2K, and then it kind of got clunky here and there. So,
right.
And that's where the downfall came to them. Now, if AEW is trying to do stuff like incentivize people by buying the game by including things like bonuses and memorabilia and stuff like that, then that could work. But
Now,
I don't know if they'll have the cachet to do that.
what if they were producing two games? One that's a you're the standard arcade fighter, and one that's a promotion simulator.
That would be interesting. Kind of like splitting it into two different games.
I mean, let's face it, the wrestling promotion simulation market is a very, very limited. I don't know if any of you have played Total Extreme Wrestling or Extreme Warfare Revenge, or even TNM back in the day. Extreme Warfare Revenge, Total Extreme Wrestling, which are still being made today by Grey Dog Software now. Full-on promotion simulator. Full-on, down to the very last detail. It's incredible. TNM was it was written back in the days of DOS, but it was a match simulator, and it included everything, but the financials and everything, and that's where the community came in, who developed spreadsheets and all that stuff. I wasn't gonna say anything myself until later on down the line, but I am actually working on a tabletop wrestling game akin to loosely based on Dungeons and Dragons.
Interesting.
It's very early stages. I tried doing something like that when I was a kid, but I always felt it was too basic. I wanted it to be more complex. And
Well,
now that I
get Becca on it then.
Damn.
Becca. Basic Becca.
Basic Becca.
That joke of tonight.
I mean, I could all show you. You want a dad joke? I can show you the shirt that my son got me. It's a picture of Yoda that says "Yoda best, Dad."
Okay. Well,
Now that's a good one.
That's a good one.
I was about to say, what the fuck you laughing at?
Now, the one thing I wanted just to bring up before we go to the next topic, what if AEW did like a licensing deal, like New Japan did with Fire Pro? That would have been maybe less costly, but still get the message out, that there's a video game that has all characters in it.
I mean, considering that Kenny and the Young Bucks are already in Fire Pro, I mean, I have expected them to go to, and now I can't remember it, even though the game is still on my friggin' thing, on my PlayStation. And I was running my own G1 at the time. I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the developer. Dang it! But they explicitly want something that evokes the style of No Mercy.
which is a goat for me. I mean, that was like one of my favorite wrestling games.
Um, and there was a No Mercy combined with the Wrestle Kingdom games.
Well, I mean, we'll see what the finished product is. I'm sure all three of us is going to be curious to play that game ourselves.
Absolutely.
I mean, they could be holding out till WWE 2K22 comes out. God knows.
Maybe we'll even do a review of the game when it comes out. Spitballing ideas here. A big congratulations to Cody Rhodes and Brandy Rhodes as they welcomed their brand new baby girl yesterday into the world. Liberty Iris Iris Reynolds.
What's it? Runnels, not Reynolds.
Reynolds. Reynolds. What?
Okay, good enough.
You know I have an issue with the R's.
That's not the issue.
When do we expect Liberty in the wrestling rings, Scooter?
I mean, do I really have to say it? Give me liberty or give me death?
Well, there you go.
I guess as soon as the Fontanelle sets.
What about you, Kaliko?
She's gonna be Cody's mystery tag partner. I give it $6. Give it where she can walk. How about that?
All right. Yesterday on SmackDown, first ever time a Hell in a Cell match took place on SmackDown between Roman Reigns and Rey Mysterio. People at the USA Network seem to be very upset about this fact.
Yes.
And I mean, it did kind of come out of the blue, out of nowhere. Is this WWE grasping for some ratings, or are they actually going somewhere with this in a storyline?
This is not story. This is the networks. Fox is pushing them for more and more themed. And so is USA. Did that matter? We're going to see the King of the Ring return. Raw Roulette is coming back. And a draft is set for August.
Now that's going to be interesting.
Not really.
No, it is, and this is why I say it's going to be interesting because it's a matter of how Fox is going to run it. Because Fox has wanted to be more sporty, so I could see them doing like draft analytics and shit. But USA probably don't care.
But they wanted more theme shows, hence why they suddenly put Roman versus Ray, Hell in a Cell, and took it off the pay-per-view. Nothing has essentially been announced to even replace it. But the big issue is that this is now a match that Peacock subscribers will not get.
Correct. But I mean, WWE already's got their money, so does it really matter?
I mean, It depends on how that contract is written. I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean they essentially have all that money up front. I mean,
it wasn't
they're
like it was a one-match marquee that's going to have fans in attendance. Oh, I got robbed of seeing Roman Reigns versus Rey Mysterio.
it's more of the fact that it was taken off and put on a competing network.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, because it's about the ROI now, because that was the issue I had with them going with Fox, because it's two totally separate networks. So they're technically serving two masters. And that's where it's going to get dicey, because Fox is going to be like, we gave you all this money and we want the return on investment.
Very true. There was even talk of a Queen of the Ring as well. You see that happening?
I definitely see that happening. In fact, I think I even mentioned it like a while back.
I think I do remember hearing that too.
Man, they cut like half the women's roster. They like shit. I need something.
I mean, they could give it to Eva Marie. That bringing us to our next piece of news. She made her debut this month, last Monday on Raw. With the also debuting Piper
Niven.
Niven.
Yeah, Piper Niven.
Niven, yeah.
Yeah, Niven, not Piven.
It was online.
I thought you said Piper Pippin. No.
No, I think he said Niven, but
I mean, online it said Piven. So somebody.
whoever wrote that is a moron.
Piper, her Raw debut. We actually talked about this last week on the show about Mercedes being a bodyguard for Eva Marie. Now it's Piper. Smart move by WWE, sure.
See, that's the thing, is that I don't necessarily know if this is essentially bodyguard on how she was acting. I mean, I see it more, and I'm sorry to make this analogy, but it's kind of like Eva Marie is Chad Gable, and Piper is Otis.
Just somebody to do for dirty work, essentially.
Somebody who is apparently easily manipulated, who just wants to please their friend, so they remain their friend.
Don't see that. I mean, there was minimal interaction between the two of them, so I guess we could just see how the story develops.
Yeah.
What say you, Kaliko? Piper debuting on Raw.
Honestly, it was smart though. It was smart because people was already hating on the fact that Eva couldn't wrestle, and then you bring in someone to wrestle in her match, and then she takes the credit for the match. People were pissed. People were pissed. So it just builds that suspense. Eventually, she's got to get in the ring, but for the time being, shit, bro, it's getting heat. I can't even lie. And say what people want. It's like she's a polarizing figure that generates heat. You either love her because she's gorgeous, or you hate her because she can't wrestle. But either way,
I mean, you could do both.
or you could be on both.
Somebody that definitely has a love-hate relationship with wrestling, Sunny. She's out of jail.
Yeah. Oh.
You see this becoming a redemption story of some, or is Sunny going to repeat the old patterns?
Well, I have heard. I actually have her story up in front of me. She was released on June 9th from Monmouth County Correctional in New Jersey after violating a court order. Several, multiple run-ins with the law. Charges of domestic abuse that this podcaster thankfully avoided. She released a statement on WrestleZone. She accepts responsibility for her past mistakes, and she's focused on caring for her mother, who is in a nursing home. Blah blah blah. It's quite frankly, I think it's a load of bullshit. She's an addict. She needs to go to meetings. End of story there.
All right, Kaliko, your thoughts?
You say addict, I say pretty privileged. Because the only way this can all happen is because she got away with it before for being gorgeous in her time. So, but she's maximizing it now, even though she's not as pretty as she was 20, 30 years ago. So that's a big reality check for a lot of really, really pretty ladies as they get older. And she just happens to her.
All right. I think that will conclude the.
Well, I mean, I guess we could talk about the fact that AEW is planning to make New York one of its primary markets after it goes back out on the road, because in September they're coming to my neck of the woods, literally, for their first ever stadium show at Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Wasn't New York always kind of the backyard, being in Chicago all those many times?
You have a very, very weird understanding of geography, James.
Yeah.
I told you. This is why I don't answer those questions on trivia night.
The New York is nowhere a backyard. Chicago. If anything,
It's on the East Coast, damn it.
If anything, New Jersey is New York's outhouse. The fact is that they want to take advantage of the fact that Vince, even before the pandemic, was really staying away from Madison Square Garden. And, AEW, I believe they had one. They got one show off.
At MSG? No, New Japan did.
It was New Japan then. All right. But
yeah, it was the New Japan ROH, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But they also want to take advantage of the stadiums and arenas that essentially were overlooked. I mean, Arthur Ashe Stadium, that's where the U.S. Open happens every year, and for those of you who don't know, it's right next to, or literally used to be right across the street from Shea Stadium. Now it's sort of diagonally across the street from Citi Field. The fact that they're choosing Arthur Ashe Stadium, which at max, I believe, holds about
22,000.
23,000 seats, notwithstanding stadium, performance space, which is a lot smaller than a regular stadium. So it's kind of the perfect place for a wrestling promotion to do a stadium show, because they won't have to put out seats on the field or on the court.
I kind of feel like they would want to do that, because you kind of lose an aesthetic of a crowd not having them right up against the gate.
Yes, but also at the same time, it's a very limited center space in Arthur Ashe Stadium. It's enough for a professional tennis court and 20, 30 some odd feet around
The
in
big
each
question
direction.
is, can AEW fill that arena?
Honestly, probably not.
And if they don't fill it, doesn't that mean they're taking a loss to some degree?
Not necessarily. It depends on what the deal is. Considering that Arthur Ashe Stadium hasn't seen any
Wrestling?
won't be seeing, or even tennis for that matter, in a while. And in September, that's usually when the U.S. Open begins. So they're trying to take advantage of that crowd. Also, the fact that the Citi Field crowd, the fact that it's a single train fare away. For most of Queens.
But, it seems like AEW is just doing a lot of really big budget things right out of the gate post-pandemic. And maybe that's not the wisest thing. What say you, Kaliko? Does AEW have a chance of selling out this stadium, and your thoughts on them even doing the stadium?
My neighbor could stop using the blow horn. Anyways, correct me if I'm wrong, Scooter. Is New York back open? New York, the city.
Yes. As of this recording, New York is, for the most part, open.
Okay, because that would make a big difference. Because with New York, being in New York City, you could kind of get people from the tri-state area. So I'm assuming, let's say they have tickets and you got people coming from Philly, Jersey, the DMV area via train. I feel like it's it's not in a sense to get New Yorkers there, but to get people who want to watch it and is a stone's throw away to get there,
Yeah,
because that's the advantage of being in that area. Because technically, the only way you can get there, if I'm not mistaken, is by you could drive there, but most people are going to take trains and buses.
I mean it's literally the for for me it depends. You could take there are two trains, the F train or the 7 train. Uh, whenever I would go to a Mets game, I would always take the 7 train because the 7 train always went within Queens. Yeah. Plus, there's also uh, direct connection from Penn Station and Grand Central Station. Um, the two main public transportation hubs in New York City that you can get into there and then get on another train that will take you right to Arthur Ashe Stadium.
Yeah, so that's why they're doing it, because Florida even though Florida was open, you really couldn't get a lot of people to go to Jacksonville, right? Like unless they were locals, because especially if you're trying to get people in and out of state, certain state regulations and so on and so forth. But if I remember right, during the pandemic, the tri-state area did a pat where it was kind of like they could circulate within those areas, but other than that, everyone else had to come in if you're going out of that area, if I'm not mistaken. So it, it's a move to bring more people from that area in, which and it's going to happen because people are going to want to go somewhere. They open and cats want to leave. So
And the one final thing I'll say on this is that Queens used to be at the heart of professional wrestling in New York. The Sunnyside Gardens were before Madison Square Garden. The Sunnyside Gardens in Queens was the home of the WWF. So it's an attempt to evoke that feeling as well for the older fans.
I mean, that was a really long time ago.
yeah, that's a.
I mean,
I think the demo. I think the
Well,
demo
it
that
goes far time
AEW's
ago.
going with are like millennials and zennials.
you know how many times when I was with the NYWC and I was talking to fans, and there would be the older guys there. Very rarely a time that Sunnyside Gardens wouldn't be mentioned.
A little quick last piece of news. Last week, Moose wrestled Kenny Omega for the Impact World Championship in a losing effort. A very smudgy finish with interference on Kenny Omega's part. Um, Honestly, it was only really a one-match card, and it was super disappointing. Is this basically? I mean, we've been talking about this uh at constant at this point. Impact Wrestling just letting AEW do whatever it wants with their title.
Well, Don Callis got fired, so something happened.
I,
Somebody's
wait,
somebody's pissed.
I heard it was Callis firing Sammy Callahan.
He fired From what I read, he fired Callahan, then Impact fired him, and then reinstated Callahan.
All right,
Yeah, it's some crazy shit.
it's it's a little bit yeah, but Callahan is wrestling Omega at Slammiversary. Definitely going to be a big match there. Was Moose just a transition to get to Callahan?
Yeah, but I kind of feel pissed about that because don't get me wrong, Callahan's cool, but I felt like Moose was probably the most credible guy to beat Omega if it would have happened. So that's my only craw that I got, really. And then he just signed a 2-year extension, so something's bound to happen.
And of course, with Swan lost to W. Morrissey, so.
The rise and fall of Swan. I knew the moment Omega came, I was like,
I guess
third wheel, homie. Third wheel.
I guess you could say that was his Swan song.
I was just going to make that joke.
Father's Day. The jokes keep coming.
All right, that'll conclude our news for this week.
Real quick, Hell in a Cell updated. Bailey and Bianca now in the cell.
All right, and we'll talk about that on a preview in a little bit.
Okay.
But first, a quick word from our sponsors.
Rogue Energy, the only gaming drink company in the world with 4 unique product lines to suit your task at hand, whether it be juices, shakes, smoothies, and everything else in between. Their low-calorie, no-sugar energy formula is the perfect alternative to sugar-filled canned energy drinks and sodas. Their extreme formula provides the most energy, focus, and sports performance possible. Their hydration line offers focus, ingredients without the added caffeine. Drink it anytime you're thirsty. And their shake formula is so delicious. Who doesn't love a cookies and cream, 0-calorie energy milkshake? First and foremost, they've designed every Rogue product line with performance and effectiveness in mind. It is critical that you look at the nutrition panels of drinks when comparing options. There are countless off-brands out there that are presenting low-quality, poorly dosed formulas that amount to expensive caffeine water. Every formula they produce is designed with optimal levels of high-quality ingredients. Additionally, you won't find a powdered gaming drink brand that dissolves better. No need to have chalky textures in your drink. Their taste profiles are unmatched, specifically designed for gamers, athletes, students, entrepreneurs, people with hectic schedules, individuals with low energy, podcasters who can't shut up, people who are health conscious, and so much more. Great as both a pre-workout and as a coffee energy drink replacement. Specifically designed every Rogue product line to be the best gaming drink on the planet. Rogue Energy, more focus, more wins.
Use promo code WRESTLINGWITHE for 10% off your next purchase. And we are wrestling with NXT Takeover In Your House 2021. It was last Sunday. And if you were smart, how did you listen to it, Scooter?
Listen to it on the remix. Only on UNB Sports 2.
And we talked about this before on a previous show. This was definitely an odd takeover, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it was a bad takeover. I mean, we always say that it's hard to find a bad NXT takeover. So let's get into it. Winner take all match for the NXT North American Championship and Tag Team Championship. Bronson Reed with MSK defeated Legado del Fantasma. Scooter, what did you think of the match?
I mean, it was a good, solid opening match. I mean, and there was nothing. There really was nothing bad. And at the same time, it wasn't exactly. It wasn't like exceptional, but it was really good. In a make or break situation, Usually in winner take all matches, yeah, the champions usually end up losing, unless of course you happen to be named Becky Lynch or Seth Rollins. But I mean, some will say this is a little bit of a kind of a waste of Santos Escobar, because some will say this was his chance to prove he doesn't just belong in the cruiserweight division. So great match, but I'm unsure. I'm really unsure where Legado del Fantasma goes from here.
I mean, into another match, I would say. But what would you say, Kaliko?
I get Scooter's point. I get that point. The only thing I would say is that Escobar's kind of already he's trying to develop out of that, right? But the only way that you can really develop out of that is a one-on-one. So I think it's going to be a one-on-one match. So I expect that down the line. You don't want MSK to lose, So that was I think that was the premise, because keep in mind, Escobar didn't take the pin. So to me, that gives him
a one-on-one match.
Right. So that gives him the leeway to say, hey, y'all pinned X, you didn't pin me one-on-one. So that's where I think he'll have his shine. I don't expect him to win, but I expect him to have a greater showing, because it was a solid match, but considering the stakes, you thought it would have been a lot tighter. So, but it was still a solid match.
I mean, according to the subtitles, Bronze Reed and MSK were fighting Santa's Cobra.
Next, Matt Lee with Boa defeated Mercedes Martinez in 7 minutes and 39 seconds. I think I was the only one to go with Zaya on this match. But what say you, Scooter?
Okay.
I mean, this was clearly, to build up the 2,000-year-old dragon birther.
That also committed murder.
Who also committed murder. I mean, again, decent match. It did what it had to do. And apparently Mia Ying, are they calling her? Of Tiansha, apparently has developed the crap. Who used to do the jaw? The carotid submission hold she was applying. Somebody used to do it. I can't remember who, but again, average match, good. It toes the line. I mean, that's all I can say.
What say you, Kaliko?
Yep, good average match. Zia gets the revenge. Mercedes looks strong defending herself until she gets with Cobra Kai do or die lady. So yeah, I mean, everything Scooter said, I agree. The question is, where does it go from here? For Mercedes and or our dead Chinese, well, not Chinese, but yeah, Chinese connection, our dead Chinese connection friend, because I was going to go Bruce Lee right there.
Well, there's also another Chinese female superstar who is supposed to be a big deal, and more than likely, that's where Xia Li is going. I see a recruiting angle in the works.
Join the Dark Order.
Essentially, I mean the Saray and Xia Li, NXT Women's Tag Team Division could use another tag team.
Saray is Japanese, isn't she?
Is she Japanese? I'm sorry. I apologize.
How dare you? $1 million championship ladder match. LA Knight defeated Cameron Grimes. This was Cameron Grimes' match to win, and he lost. What the hell?
I mean, it was a hell of a match. All the signs honestly pointed to Cameron losing. But it's framed in such a way that DiBiase was trying to motivate Cameron. I mean, think about all the times where, DiBiase outbid Cameron on stuff. That's money Grimes didn't spend.
Very true.
Honestly, I'm more shocked about what happened the following Tuesday.
Very true. LA Knight taking out Ted DiBiase.
I mean, I honestly didn't expect that.
How couldn't you? I saw that come because it's one of those things where it's like, move out, old man. It's my time. It's a Hollywood thing. It's like it's like what's that movie? You remember the movie The Rock, Nicolas Cage, and Sean Connery? It's kind of like that. Move out of the way, old man. It's my time type shit. So it was a given, and Cameron losing actually helped him because he was working it as a face, and all of his promos heading up to the match was the lovable underdog. And it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, he got the money, but he ain't forget that he country type of deal. So to me, it made sense for him to lose. Beverly Hillbillies type shit.
Yeah, he's Jed Clampett.
There you go. So to me, that made more sense for him on the chase, especially considering he was coming up short all throughout, right? And it keeps that $1 million thing going. Because had LA Knight lost, was it really going to be, worth fighting for?
The story ends after that.
Exactly.
I mean, I could see Cameron winning and then gloating in DiBiase's face.
And I think that's going to be the payoff eventually. Either that or DiBiase is now with Cameron based on what happened. So that's what I'm looking at.
All right. Next match, NXT Women's Championship. Raquel Gonzalez with Dakota Kai defeated Ember Moon in 12 minutes and 40 seconds. Did this make Raquel a reputable champion? Scooter.
As you know what? I believe in Raquel Gonzalez. So
basically, one like from a tweet from her, and you're already on the bandwagon.
She's progressively gotten better. She actually has, and She's My Sheezel. Which is a sitcom coming to Fox.
Shout out.
On Tuesdays.
Raquel is proving a lot of people wrong. I mean, that and the fact that she gets to go home to Braun Strowman.
Debatable.
I mean, I know I'd fall in love with the first woman who was able to bench press me.
You better watch it, James, before you get them hands.
What say you
Yeah.
click up?
Is it baby dick?
Yeah, Raquel. I mean, Raquel's gotten better. My only concern is that the lack of contenders is going to be her biggest thing. Because my mind is looking at, when is Dakota gonna get it? When is Dakota gonna sneak on it? Because every time they mentioned her, like, in the match, Dakota, it was always about, okay, Dakota was the one that blah blah blah. You see what I'm saying? Taught her the game. So when is Dakota gonna have enough of that? Maybe not. Maybe not. But from what I see, Dakota's in that same situation as Io was last year, where it was like she's head and shoulders above the division, and who's gonna take it? Who's gonna be a contender? Because I feel like she's gonna not. She's already beat Mercedes. She's already beat Ember. But Shotzi's gonna go for it, maybe. But when you think of faces that are female on NXT, that list is hella short.
I mean, they've been building up Zoe Starks.
Stark.
Sarai, as we've been discussing.
Yeah, but she's a ways away. Zoe Stark, I mean, maybe EO comes back for it, because I mean, you can see a rematch there. But
the rumors I've heard is they're looking to bring Miko Satomura over from UK.
Interesting.
now that's going to be interesting, considering the fact that she just won the NXT UK title from Kaylee Ray.
And that's the other name I'm hearing that's coming over here.
Oh, we're forgetting about Tony Storm.
But Tony's stuck with Zoe.
Yeah.
So,
and you have Frankie Monet.
Very true.
Which is, I mean, yeah, she came and bugged her in the beginning, but Raquel might have one of the longest reigns in NXT women's history.
I could see Frankie and Dakota having a bit of a 2-3 show feud.
Yeah, you can. But the question now is, because since Raquel beat Ember, is the Ember Shotzi Raquel Dakota square dance is over?
Doesn't seem like it.
And that's the question.
I mean, I would probably expect a tag team match for the NXT Women's Championship.
Like Candice LeRae and the Hard Roll are the champions.
No, that's not what I said. I didn't say for the Women's Championship. I said for the Women's Championship.
Oh, okay.
Raquel and Dakota against Ember and Shotzi. And maybe that's how Raquel loses it. And that's the split. It's the splitting.
Split the duo up.
Or they defend it. They beat Ember and Shotzi. It's Dakota who gets the pinfall, and Dakota starts acting like she's the champion.
Ooh, kind of like that's too WCW-ish though. That's how like Arquette won the title. That just screams Arquette. No, that screams Arquette, and I'm just like, you don't want that. You don't want that. You don't want them problems.
Dakota Cat?
Dakota Cat.
And that brings us to our last match, NXT Championship Fatal 5-Way. Karrion Kross with Scarlett defeated Adam Cole, Bay, Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Johnny Wrestling Gargano, and Pete Dunne in 26 minutes and 25 seconds. Really great match. Didn't really do anything for Karrion Kross. Beating everybody. Now we're just kind of scratching our heads at this point. I think we kind of got an idea where things are going because of Tuesday when Samoa Joe was brought back as the special enforcer of NXT. What say you, Scooter?
Great match. Absolutely great match from start to finish. The rumors are that Karrion Kross was backstage at SmackDown last night. And there are rumors that Edge is going to work SummerSlam.
I think that was a given. They're saving him for when they come back to a live crowd.
As well, they're also saving Bray Wyatt.
Yes.
So, it's an interesting conundrum we have here. Has Karrion Kross really essentially cleared the list of contenders? Is there somebody else? Is there someone from the Fatal 5-Way who is worthy of getting another shot? I mean, especially considering that Kyle O'Reilly is apparently now going to challenge for the Cruiserweight Championship.
No, he's not challenging for the championship. Just like an exhibition match, sort of.
So, I mean, there's I said there's no one left. There really is no one left. I mean, unless you push Bronson Reed, Dexter Loomis, Ridge Holland was cleared recently to return, and he was supposed to get the shot against Balor before everybody.
That's very true. What say you, Kaliko?
Did Finn Balor get his rematch?
He did.
Yeah.
There we go. That answers my question. And there's nobody left. Unless Joe comes back. And the only way Joe comes back is if he's provoked. So that's going to be the dance. That's the only thing I hated about the Fatal 5-Way was the fact that you wouldn't do that unless you're going to take the title off of him and give him a chance to get the rematch and kind of talk shit to Regal about getting his rematch. But he won and talked shit anyway, which set up the whole Joe angle. So,
I mean, I'm wondering if I'm wondering if Karrion Kross is maybe actually going to have a non-title match with William Regal.
I don't see that happening. I think William Regal's retired.
More so with Joe. I think Joe. More so with Joe. Because Joe, like Joe said, it's about the respect, homie. You ain't respecting nobody.
I mean, considering that he was told not to put his hands on anybody, and
I mean,
Regal
he choked out Adam Cole though.
yeah, and he didn't even say it provoked.
He was very provoked in that situation.
Yes, but it was implied that even if provoked, he shouldn't put his hands on anybody. And you know what? I'm also pretty sure Joe was apparently going to give Cole good news.
So,
yeah.
NXT shows are always really great. So, instead of doing thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good was this NXT Takeover, Scooter?
I will give it. I will give it an 8.5.
What about you, Kaliko?
Ah, man. Nostalgia. Match of the night to me was the main event, the ladder match. Everything else kind of fades. 8 is pretty. Yeah, 8. It's not like Takeover Dallas or Takeover Brooklyn, but it's up there.
So an 8?
8, ocho.
Okay. And I give it an 8 as well. And that will conclude our coverage of NXT Takeover In Your House 2021. And we are wrestling with WWE Hell in a Cell preview. It's tomorrow actually, and we already kind of talked about this already. So let's get into it. First match up, we got Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. Who wins, Scooter?
And considering that this match was literally made last night, I want Cesaro to get the win here. I think it's going to be Seth. I'm going with Seth.
What say you, Kaliko?
Consider Cesaro got the win at Mania. Seth is kind of pissed about it. It seems like this is going to be something going for a while. The only way it can go for a while is if Seth gets the win. So, the drip god himself, Seth Rollins.
Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. Who wins, Scooter? I mean, it feels like we've seen this match like a billion times.
I mean, we just about have. I mean, there's nobody left to back Sammy up, so it's KO all the way.
Kaliko?
The one match where they literally took Fight Forever, literally. It's got to be KO, right? because he just got abandoned. Sammy got abandoned by Apollo, so I mean, or it could be Sammy because I mean he's trying to get that title back. So it's a weird dichotomy that Intercontinental thing. But we'll go KO just for fun.
Alexa Bliss versus Shayna Baszler. Who wins, Scooter?
You know, it's very rare we ever see Shayna Baszler afraid.
Very true.
And something is clearly going to happen where somebody is, most likely Reginald, or maybe even Nia, who knows, is under control and ends up doing something to Shayna where Alexa just swoops in for the easy pin. So Alexa wins.
What say you, Kaliko?
The winner is the WWE because those 10 people that paid $600 for those damn cameos. Woo!
Very true.
But on a much serious note, I'm gonna go Shayna because I feel like Alexa's character is kind of like Bray's, where wins and losses don't matter. I mean, she's gonna be scared to death, but somebody's gonna help her get the win. So, that's how.
I mean, what are the odds we see a giant Lily costume?
I mean, this could end in like a Smash where kind of like the Firefly Funhouse match where, okay, that's how it ends type thing, rather than a definitive 1, 2, 3.
No, there was a 1, 2, 3 in the firefight.
Yeah, there was, but the swamp match. Yeah, the swamp match didn't have a 1, 2, 3.
I mean, I could imagine having a Lily costume, and then it turns out, oh, it's the Fiend underneath.
Oh wow!
But isn't the Fiend pissed off then the Fiend would be talking.
But then the Fiend, Lily would show up and then attack Alexa.
I feel like the Fiend and Lily are kind of beefing because Bray was talking about no more clout chasing. So I mean, he did, and he did have the picture of Sodom and Gomorrah. So revenge a bitch.
Raw Women's Championship match: Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte. Who wins? Middle.
I'm gonna go with Rhea to retain.
What say you, Kaliko?
Rhea needs it more than Charlotte because Rhea's pretty much, this is a revenge match for her. I like the same way I was saying about Asuka. It's like Asuka lost at Mania, but the match is occurring. She got the wins, but so Rhea to retain.
I kind of feel like the whole redemption arc is with Rhea not being able to beat Charlotte. So I think maybe either disqualification or maybe even give Charlotte the championship back.
I mean, the question is, maybe Charlotte's on the verge of winning, and Nikki Cross tries to buddy up to Rhea by trying to help.
Because it kind of feels like Nikki Cross is kind of the one in the arc, the story arc, that's kind of messing up the redemption of Rhea Ripley storyline. You kind of know what I mean?
The James Ellsworth to Dean Ambrose.
Yes, very much. And
Not really, because Rhea's playing both. I mean, Nikki's playing both. It's not like like the James Ellsworth thing. It was all one sided with AJ, but now Nikki's just proven that she belongs, which she does. But it's a matter of fact of whether she's going to cost either or the match or a double DQ something.
very true. That brings us to the SmackDown Women's Championship match: Bianca Belair versus Bayley inside Hell in a Cell. Who wins, Scooter?
Belanca. Belair. The letter B. I mean, this is probably more cut and dry than people think, and it's Bianca. Bianca for the win.
What say you, Kaliko?
Winners are big booties. I mean, Bianca. Bianca's gonna win. I mean, it solidifies her reign. My question is Sasha's gonna come back and get the title, or maybe that draft comes and Charlotte goes to SmackDown and challenges her, but she's gonna need a new challenger.
I think we could all agree on that. I mean, Carmella could get so many title shots, right? And that brings us to our WWE Championship match: Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre inside Hell in a Cell. Who wins, Scooter?
If Drew loses, then no more title shots for Drew as long as Lashley's the champion. And we all know Drew's record going into Cell championship matches. So, question is, what do you do with Drew if he loses? That's the big question for me. And as much as I want to say Drew will win it, I'm going with Lashley.
What say you, Kaliko?
Lashley just hit 100 days as champ. WWE made a big deal about it. This was my problem when Lashley got the belt, because I was like, after Drew, who's going to be a legit contender?
Well, it's rumored that Brock Lesnar is coming back to wrestle him at SummerSlam.
I believe it when I see it. And even if Brock comes back, I won't believe it until the bell rings. How about that?
Wow. All right.
But I believe that when the bell rings, because the Lashley Lesnar fantasy is just like the Sting Taker fantasy. Like, I believe it when the bell rings and then both of them are in the ring. But it's got to be Lashley, because he's just coming into his own as champion. Drew really, at this point, I mean, somebody could cost Drew the title and he could kind of veer off and deal with that before he gets there. But I'm thinking Lashley.
All right. And that'll conclude our coverage of WWE Hell in a Cell. Join us next week as we do a review of the show as well. And how should people listen to Hell in a Cell this upcoming Sunday, Scooter?
As always, if you stand out in a lightning storm with a coat hanger. But if you really want to listen to it, then you tune in to the remix only on UMB Sports 2 and Mixler, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific.
And it's on a Father's Day this year.
Yes, it is. And also, happy Juneteenth.
Very true. You know, this
It's
might
a holiday, baby. Got one. Yeah. Okay, well, we got two. MLK and then Juneteenth. Yeah.
I mean, this it being Father's Day, this might be the best opportunity to actually have Kaliko on the remix.
I mean, being a black father on Juneteenth weekend, yeah, you might have the best shot.
If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, vote on YouTube and Castbox. Of course, this episode was sponsored by Rogue Energy. Use promo code WRESTLINGWITHE for 10% off your next purchase. Join us this Wednesday as we interview Owen Brody. And follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Wrestling with Eve for all your Wrestling with Eve needs. You can follow us individually as well. I am at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
I am Kaliko. Shout out to the recently retired ACH and Leo Rush. Great careers for both.
And where can they find Scooter?
As always, find me on Twitter at ScooterDust, and of course on the Smoking Dragons Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Smoking Dragons. There are 20 sides to every story. Come be part of ours.
For Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.
Lick my balls.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.